A woman's parents want to adopt her ex-fiancé. AITA September 18, 22. Originally posted by you, Ex-fiancé adoption in art, Am I the Asshole on September 4, 22. Updated September 18, 22. Original post. AITA for not wanting my parents to adopt my ex-fiancé. My F24 ex-fiancé, M24, and I were together for 7 years. He proposed last fall, and we mutually decided to break up in May. He's always gotten along incredibly well with my parents, especially my father. They always treated him like he was one of their children, and my parents have always told him he's part of the family. For example, he started coming on family vacations with us when we were 17. It was a very tough decision to end our relationship, but we both agreed it was for the best. He moved out while I finished up our lease term. His plans fell through last minute and he moved in with my parents for a little while, finding a new place. Obviously, I felt a little weird about him moving into my childhood bedroom and being at my parents' house a fair amount. It led to lots of awkward interactions, but we got past it. He moved out at the start of August and I thought that was that. Last night my parents invited me over for dinner. They sat me down and explained that since the wedding was off and my ex-fiancé wasn't going to be a part of the family by marriage, they wanted to adopt him. They asked him last week and he agreed as long as I'm okay with it. I'm definitely not. I told them that I'm not really comfortable with that, and they started telling me that I'm keeping them away from their son. WTF. And that I need to tell him that I'm okay with it so that we can all be a real family. I'm worried I'm being an asshole because they have cared so much for my ex over the years. I'm also worried I'm being selfish by worrying about how to explain this to future partners. AITA? More information in a comment. I do actually have a younger brother. He's going to university in another country and doesn't visit home very often. My ex's mom passed when he was young and his dad remarried and is much more invested in his new family. I'm surprised he agreed, but haven't had a chance to actually talk to him about it. Update 2 weeks later. After I had some time to process the situation and read all the comments you guys wrote, thank you, I was feeling a lot less crazy. I decided to call my ex and ask him about the whole situation. Like a couple of you guys guessed, he didn't actually want to be adopted. He only answered like that because he didn't want to say no to my parents who did so much for him over the years. He knew I wouldn't like the situation and say no. Obviously, I'm not thrilled about him offloading the hard answers onto me, but I feel like we had a really productive conversation about it. I also gave my brother, 20, a call because there were some suggestions that my parents were trying to replace their son with my ex. He said he didn't want to talk about it over the phone and would rather wait until he could see me in person. This wasn't at all like him, so we worked out a way for me to visit him over the weekend. Well, she came out to me as trans. And I have a sister now. We talked for a few hours. She decided to go to university in a different country because she wanted to have a better opportunity to restart as a woman. She was planning on waiting longer to tell us because she was being hypercritical of how well she passes and didn't want me and my parents to just see her as a man in a dress. She actually passes really well and I'm very proud of her. She ended up coming out to our parents at the beginning of the semester because she was going to change her preferred name in the school system, and my parents have access to some parts so they can help her with tuition. She asked them not to tell anyone else so that she could come out to people when she wants to. She thought they took the news very well until this situation broke out. Her therapist has suggested that our parents are going through grief for having their son. The insanity of wanting to adopt my ex could be a part of that. My sister gave me permission to tell all this to my ex-fiancé. Together we all agreed it's best for us to go low contact for the time being. TLDR. My sister came out as trans. My parents were trying to replace her, and my ex didn't want to be adopted in the first place. What is this like? We don't have a son anymore. We'll get one in free agency. Well, those parents definitely need some therapy. What weirds me out more is that they both thought this was a good idea. Like, I get that parents are supposed to be on the same page, but to both agree on something so weird, and neither of them question it individually, is hard to believe. And you get a therapist, and you get a therapist, and everybody gets a therapist. Oh my God. Those poor kids. They need therapy to deal with the parents, and the parents need therapy to deal with themselves. That situation is so weird without even going into trying to replace their son. How awful it would have been for Oop to have the ex as a brother. Ick. Well, that was certainly a choice that Oop's parents made. They definitely need some sort of professional help with dealing with this situation in a way that isn't totally insane. Obviously, I'm not thrilled about him offloading the hard answers onto me. Gosh, I wonder why they broke up. If you can't make your own son, store-bought is fine. Imagine coming out as trans only your parents replaced you with the son. I feel so sorry for Oop's sister. Adopting my daughter X because my other daughter came out as trans was definitely not in my bingo card. I. Wow, that was a ride. Overall, I think some space will help everyone. And hopefully the parents can realize they were being weird AF and apologize. I think it's okay to have complicated feelings when a child comes out to you. As long as you are supportive and don't put those feelings on your child to deal with or alleviate or anything. I don't think it's unusual to feel a sense of loss. It is a loss of the life, future you thought your child was going to have. We all have uncomfortable feelings about things in our life or other people's choices. It's how you deal with those feelings that matters. My mom had to mourn when she realized I don't want children. She knows I don't owe her grandchildren, but it was always in the future she was picturing for me. She never put that on me, or made me feel bad about it. I actually learned about it through my brother. It sounds like OOP's parents were doing that, since her sister thought the coming out and conversation went well, so the parents showed only support to the transitioning sister, and were attempting to deal with their feelings themselves. I think they're dealing with them in an unhealthy way, so let's hope they change course on that front ASAP. But I don't think Oop needs to totally write them off or anything just yet. It depends how they handle these things going forward. Together we all agreed it's best for us to go low contact for the time being. The way parents went about the situation, that might wind up being permanent no contact all because they wanted a son and winded up losing all three of them. Well, that took a turn I wasn't expecting. Super happy for OOP's sister. One trans gal to another. And thank the gods X. Oop and sis all seem like reasonable adults unlike the parents. Low contact was the smart choice for all three of them. The parents are weirdos and I feel bad for everyone involved, but the ex being put into such a position. Yikes skull. Didn't marry him in part 1 bet because he dumped other issues on her too. He could have just said or written the next day, "Thanks so much for everything you have done for me. Your daughter and I decided not to be in the same family. Is there any other way I can show my appreciation for all you've done for me?" Quote, so glad Oop got to connect with her sister too. Ooh, delicious update. I was waiting to find out what caused this specific flavor of crazy from OOP's parents. Transphobia and erasure is the answer apparently. How sad they could not accept their child for who she is and instead tried to poach their ex-potential son-in-law as a replacement baby. Absolutely bonkers. Way to alienate both your daughters and push away a deeply cherished family friend. Wow, such a plot twist. Leak, exploding head, exploding head, exploding head. Lol, parents hitting the transfer portal. God. I know grief and emotions are difficult, but it's so hard to be patient with parents who act like their kid is literally dead and buried when they come out as trans. Your kid is still there. They're just different than you expected.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.